Today in this 2019 Ram 1500, we're going to review and install the Roadmaster Diode 7-wire to 6-wire Flexo-Coil wiring kit, part number RM-15267. Now this kit will give you all the basic functions needed to tow your Ram behind your motorhome. It will cover your running light circuit, your left turn and right turn signal, and your brake signal. On a Ram here, we actually had a piece of plastic behind the grille right here we could use to attach our 6-pole connector to. We have a 6-pole here. You're only using 4 of the circuits, but you can always take it apart and add extra upgraded circuit, like a battery charge circuit or some other indicator light circuit as well for your braking system. It also comes with the hardware to attach it and also a metal bracket. In this case, in the install, it wasn't used, but it does come with it. This is a Flexo-Coil part, 7-pole connector you find on a lot of our motorhomes and RVs, and your 6-pole connector, which will plug into this side of the truck. Now our kit comes with 4 diodes. You'll need 2 for each side, 1 for your turn signals, and you'll need 2, 1 for each side for your running light circuit. Now this is a great addition to your towing situation compared to, say, for instance, magnetic lights. If you got a nice truck like this one here, you probably don't want magnets possibly sliding around or even trying to find a spot to attach it to. With this setup, it's permanent. All you got to do is just plug it into the front and you're good to go. Now our kit does come with a wire to run from both taillights and up to the front of our vehicle. Next we'll go ahead and show you how to install it. First part of our install is we have to have access to the taillights, so we're going to lower the tailgate down and remove one of the taillights. We're going to start off on the passenger side. To take off our taillight, this cable is in front of one of the fasteners here, so we have to remove the cable. So we'll lift up on the tailgate just a bit, take up some slack, pull that edge back, remove our cable. That's why we're going to do one side at a time. 4 fasteners we have to remove, 2 screws, and 2 plastic ones. Work the center of the plastic rivet out first, just a little bit. And you can do it with a screwdriver, but if you got a trim panel tool, that works the best. And pull the whole assembly out. For these fasteners, we'll need a 1/8 inch hex key. Another trim panel tool, wider the better, to get behind the lens here. Kind of work it loose. And pop it away. And then we'll remove our electrical. To do that, we have to push back on this red tab and then push down here to be able to pull the connector apart from the light. We'll set the light aside. There. I'm going to unravel the tape from the wires so we have easier access to the ones that we need to install our diodes into. We've tested our wires. We'll show what we came up with. The white wire with the orange stripe, we found that was going to be a running light circuit, so we'll need that one. And then we also found that the white wire to green stripe is our brake signal. And if you look at the back of a connector, they're right next to each other, so it's kind of convenient. Let's work on our wire for the brake signal first. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to strip the wire back. Twist the wires. And we'll install our terminals that will go to our diodes. Now I do like to pre-treat these terminals with some dielectric grease, since this does kind of sit outside somewhat. Just a little shot inside there where you install the wire. Also a good thing is maybe some on our terminals here, and especially put some between the 2 terminals here, or silicone, because you can eventually get corrosion between these 2 tabs. Get yourself a good pair of crimpers, slide the wire in, and crimp it down. 1 on each wire. The end with the 1 tab always goes towards the tail light, so make sure you get it properly installed. And then we take this wire and put it back into one of these 2 tabs here. It doesn't matter which one. Push it in. Sometimes you actually hear it click, which is nice. So our circuit's back to stock here. We'll go ahead and do the same thing with this wire here for a running light circuit. With both diodes installed, we'll take our long ribbon wire here with the 4 wires. We'll take this and we're just going to run it through the bodywork and down to the ground for now. Okay, I'm going to take a moment to split my wires back and get them ready to install. For this side, we're only going to use these 3 color wires. White for our ground, brown for a running light circuit, and green for a right turn and brake signal. We don't need this yellow one. We're just going to cut it off and out of the way and not worry about it. Go ahead and strip the rest of the wire back. For green and brown wires, we'll put 2 more terminals on there. So let's hook up to our diodes, brown wire to a running light circuit, our green wire going to the brake signal on our truck. Now our white wire needs to carry ground from our motorhome to the car vehicle ground. So I'll take our white wire, strip it back, and we'll add a ring terminal to it, and I'll attach it to the bodywork of the truck. We'll make our ground using the provided screw. It's a self-tapper, and you'll need a 5/16 nut driver to install it. I'm just going to zip tie these guys together so they don't rattle around too much. Then in turn, I'll zip tie it to the wire harness. At this point, I can put my taillight back together. Push it until it clicks, push the red lock button back in, and reinstall. Let's take our plastic fasteners, push them back into place. And don't forget our metal fasteners. Don't forget to put your cable back up on this side because you'll have to take it off on the other side. Now I'm going to remove a driver's side taillight, get it out of my way, and then run my wires back up to this taillight. Now when we run our wire across and also up to the front of the vehicle, we want to stay away from the exhaust as far away as possible, and of course away from sharp edges. So I'm just going to run it across behind the bumper, zip tie along the way, and go back up to my other taillight. To run it across, basically I followed the factory wire harness coming all the way across and zip tying in places that were convenient and that could hold up the wire just fine. As I got to the other side, I put some of the supplied Loom material around it, going around a sharp corner right here, because sometimes this can bounce around and wear on these metal edges. On our driver's side, we identified our wires. This all white wire appears to be a light gray stripe. It's going to be a running light circuit, and this all white wire here is going to be our brake signal. And they're right next to each other at the back of the connector too, just like the other side. I'm going to install my diodes just like I did before, then we'll hook up our wires. Alright, I'm going to split back my wires so I get easier access to them. Be careful and cut down the middle. I'm going to split our wires back. We're going to work with one wire at a time. This time we won't need our green wire, but we won't cut it. We're just going to leave it alone just like that because it needs to run up to the front of the vehicle. But we'll need our yellow wire this time. That's going to be our left turn and brake signal. So I'm going to cut that one short right here, and I'll add a terminal to it. Make sure the long end is the end that goes towards the front of the vehicle, and I'll put a terminal on here. So it's going right to our turn signal diode. And our running light circuit will go to this terminal here. However, we're going to do one thing different because this needs to connect to both diodes and up front. So I'm going to cut this wire in half here and add a special terminal to it. This basically will work like a junction. Strip them back. I'm going to combine them once again this way. So they're side by side. A special yellow terminal. This will go to our running light diode. At this point, I can secure my wires and reinstall my taillight. Got my wire ran back underneath the vehicle. I'm going to continue this going up to the front. I'll show you how I routed my wire going up to the engine compartment. You can see how it comes down right here along the bodywork on the inside. I ran it up over the frame on this side, around this mount here, where it comes out towards the middle of the bed and then back around. Basically went around the mount for suspension here. After a shock, I came back out on this side of the frame, ran through where I could, added some Loom where I thought was necessary, and continued up front following the factory wire harness. Zip tying wherever it was convenient, going all the way up. And this body mount right here, went behind it, and for now just come right down. Now at this point, I've pretty much gotten short on wire, which kind of happens occasionally, so I just added some more wire to it to lengthen it up to go to the front of a truck. I use some heat shrink butt connectors to make my connections so I don't have to worry about them underneath the vehicle. So I'm going to continue running this up into the engine compartment. Now I'm going to try to run a loop up towards the top and then back down. So when you add a braking system that requires access to these wires, it makes it a little bit easier in the future. Brought my wire up, made sure it stayed away from the steering components and the exhaust. It's not too hard on this truck. Come up by the battery cable here for a negative side, and then I got my excess right here. Just let it just sit in here for now, be just fine. in case we ever need access to again. Went through here, underneath the fuse box, right next to the radiator. I went straight down to the floor. Let's leave the wire alone for now and find a place for our 6-pole connector. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away the grill right here, and there's a plastic layer behind that. Use my hole saw to put a hole through that, and I'll mount this to the plastic behind it. This whole assembly will be recessed. Make sure it's even, and I'm just going to put some marks around it. See where I need to cut out. So I'm going to use some diagonals here to cut my plastic out, work my way around. I'll need a 1/4-inch pilot hole, and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit below center to make sure I have room for my hinge. I'm going to come back at it with an 1 3/8 hole saw. Holes drilled out, let's run our wire through, and we'll connect our socket to the wires. Once again, I'm going to split my wires back up, and I'm going to strip them and get them ready to install. This is the back of our 6-pole connector. I'm going to push that on the wires first before I put the rest of it on. Loosen up the screws that hold the wires in place. Before I do anything else, put some dielectric grease between these two contacts and inside these sockets for the screws as well. Take our ground wire, put that one in first. It's labeled GD. Yellow will go to our left turn signal. Next one will be right turn. For our running light circuit, will be ran to the one labeled TM. We'll slide these two together now, and I'm going to cover from here to here with electrical tape. We'll push it into place. With it in place, I'm going to use my 1/4-inch drill bit one more time. And we'll install the hardware that comes with this kit. Short screws will go through. You probably want to have an extra hand to help hold the screw in place while you start the other one. At this point, if everything's installed, we need to test it. You will be hooking up to your motorhome to make sure it all works. I'm going to use a separate power supply in my application. Let's go ahead and try it out. We'll turn on our running light circuit. Next, we'll try our left turn signal. And now our right turn signal. And then we should have a brake signal. And that'll finish it for the Roadmaster Diode 7-wire, 6-wire Flexo-Coil wiring kit, part number RM-15267 on this 2019 Ram 1500.